to the Creative Shelf, and you're joining me on a dry, cold evening in Brussels. But it is 4:30 in the afternoon, and I am so grateful the sun is shining, and that's the most important thing, right? Because we've crossed that point where the days, it's very clear that the days are getting longer. For me, that's amazing. I do suffer occasionally from seasonal affective disorder, and while many years I've been fine, recently, I think during the pandemic especially, I saw it kind of like really starting to hit me again. And so for me, the fact that we just have more daylight just makes it so much better. And I was talking to somebody, actually, I think, I've had a few questions from people in the US that I chat to, on YouTube and stuff like that, we actually have here sunset at solstice, winter solstice, around 3:30 in the afternoon, actually at the height of kind of like when we cross into like, the really dark hours. So, that's actually quite a short amount of daylight that we have in winter. And I think it's because we are actually quite high up in terms of like, I think it's longitude, but basically, yeah, we are quite high up. So I think that sometimes it can be kind of like mistaken, like actually we do have kind of like that season where it gets really, really dark. So for me, the sunlight is just amazing. I love it. I love filming. The fact that I'm filming with just one light on, which is great. And and it's just nice to be able to do this video without feeling like I'm stepping into darkness, basically, when I go out this evening. So anyway, without further ado, I thought I would do my January favorites wrap up. It's a little bit late, but why not? And I'm going to be showing you decks probably that you've seen, ones that you haven't seen, books that you've probably seen anyway, and just kind of like a bit of a chatty video. So thank you for joining me. Welcome to the new subscribers, and welcome back to those who already know me. This is the Creative Shelf, and I am filming from Brussels. So without further ado, here are the decks that I've been using last month. Now, first and foremost, you've already seen it. I did a deck review of this already last week, and that is the Dreamkeepers Tarot. This was the deck that I did my personal daily pulls from every day. Now, one thing to note is that I don't actually show those daily pulls because they are sometimes quite personal, and so I kind of like keep them to the side. But I do talk about the deck review, which is, I think, the most important thing. So this is the mass market US Games version. It's a deck by Liz Houston. And it is one of those collage decks. It was released in early 2021. I managed to get my hands on it last summer, and I saved it for the winter. Now, this was originally an indie deck published in 2018. And then, of course, as I just mentioned, it went mass market. And I absolutely loved working with this deck. It was just a delight and a treat. Originally, when I had seen it, I thought it was a bit drab, to be quite honest with you. I was thinking, really? Why did I buy this? And I bought it because I couldn't get hold of the Tarot of Mystical Moments at that time. So this whole FOMO thing was happening, and I bought this one. And then I thought, it looks a bit depressing, actually. And so, ideally, I used it in January, right? But it was amazing to use in January. And actually, it felt like a little bit of a hug. So I am so grateful that I have this deck. I've really enjoyed using it. I think that the guidebook by Liz Houston is amazing. She did a phenomenal job. And I was a little bit sad, actually, to put this deck to the side. Mainly, the key thing that I love about it is the mythology, the symbology, the cleverness of the images, her inverting sometimes meanings. It's a deck that for me requires kind of like, time to sit with it. But once I did, I really enjoyed working with this deck. It was just mainly daily pulls, a few spreads, asking it, questions. I don't normally do kind of like set spreads. I do my own kind of like made up thing, which works for me. I think that's the main thing. And I can clearly see like a message coming across. But this deck was it was a bit of a delight, actually, and I'm grateful for it. I've never worked with something like this before, so perhaps also it was a bit of a novelty for me. I don't know, but I really did enjoy working with this. And it depends. If these are the images that work for some people, they do. For some, they don't. But for me, I don't know how to put it. Originally, if somebody had said, would you buy this deck for yourself? I would have probably said no, but I bought it because it was part of like a whole, I guess, herd mentality. And now I'm kind of like, actually, it's really, really cool. So I've surprised myself a little bit there. And so I'm glad in a way that I stepped out of my comfort zone. So anyway, it's been a delight to work with. I'm so grateful it's in my collection. I'm so grateful. I will be able to say a bit more a bit later, but an indie version is coming to me, which is very, very kind for the person that's sending it. I'll mention it next month, probably a little bit more, but I'm so, so grateful for that as well. So which was a treat, because this is a deck that I really, really enjoy. So I know there's a few differences with the indie version, not huge, but a few. And this is like something that really, really is going to stay with me for a long time, I think. So yeah. So this was the Dreamkeepers Tarot. And just as an FYI, because I know a few people have then since messaged me or left comments, I'm actually working with the Tarot of Mystical Moments this month. So you will have the review of that at the end of this month, if you're wondering. Okay, so I will proceed now on to the next deck. I want to keep this video as short as I can. So yeah, we're 6 minutes in. Okay, so there is a deck that I worked with on Instagram, because I did decide to do the Lion Hearts Challenge. So if you're following me on Instagram, you would have seen it. The deck that I worked with is the Hush Tarot. Now, the Hush Tarot is another US Games US Games Tarot. The author is Jeremy Hush. He's also the illustrator. These are images that have already been created for his artwork, and then they're assigned to tarot cards. Now, originally when I bought this deck, it was in summer 2020, and I didn't resonate with the deck. There is one thing about this deck that I do want to mention, which is in the guidebook, there is a mistake with the Lovers card. They have Hindu gods, and they mistakenly put the wrong gods in the Lovers card in the description. So I just want to mention that, because it is something that has annoyed and bugged me. I think it's just really not okay. So I do want to say and preface the fact that this deck has, yeah, it has been something for me that I've had to kind of like, do I look past it? And I think that in the end, it's just poor. I think it's just poor not checking things properly. But, you know, I did want to give it a try. I'm someone that I don't like buying something and then just, you know, oh, you know, it's not for me, and then just shoving it to the side. I'm someone that kind of like tries to really think, you know, am I going to have value out of this? So since summer of 2020, I have been on and off, like looking through this deck, touching it, kind of going through it, going, all right, okay. And then I decided to use it completely for this challenge. And I thought, I don't know, I did it on a whim. So the reason being is because this deck for me has this kind of like very dry, kind of like images which are to do more, I think, with the atmosphere of when, you know, the sun has gone. It's kind of like dark, it's a bit moody. This, a lot of people, I guess, would use this in the autumn. I use this in January. For me, it's just kind of like, it's when the trees are bare. You know, it's that feeling of like, there's no leaves, there's no sunshine. Everything has this kind of like, I don't know, knotted twigs feeling kind of thing, where you just, you know, when I look up and I'm passing through trees, I don't really see the sky. And I don't see leaves, I just see loads of twigs. That's the way I can describe it when I'm out running. And this is the kind of deck that reminds me of that. So anyway, I decided to use it. I think I would not use this deck as like a hug deck. That's just me. I use this deck as kind of like, for me, a mood deck. That's what it felt like, a mood thing. And interestingly, the more I used it for the challenge, the more I got to know it. And I did find it a deck that I need to bond with. It's not very clear how the images pertain to that card. So for example, this being the Five of Pentacles about loss. Okay, I see that a little bit there. This is the Magician. For me, this doesn't really conjure up magician feelings, to be very frank with you. But the actual image is haunting and gorgeous and beautiful. So it's more kind of like a deck for me that I need to make it what I will. That's the best way I can put it. It's up to me to see, can I feel the magician through this? Can I conjure up this? Can I be her? That wolfhound, she looks like it's strange what she's done there. But it's kind of like a deck where I really need to myself see how am I going to bond with this image and the meaning that it's trying to convey, and then the card key. And I think some people have said they would use this deck more intuitively, and I think there is a bit of that in me. But there are some cards in this deck where I can really feel like this one, right? This is the Queen of Wands. And when I look at this, it is just so striking. This is an interesting deck, by the way, where the wands symbol and then the sword symbol are so similar, so you got to be careful there. But this is the Queen of Wands, and the Queen of Wands for me is typically a very kind of like, outspoken, sassy. She knows what she's saying. She knows what she's doing. She's a creatrix. That's how she feels to me, kind of energy. And so when I look at this card, I need to see that being channeled when I look at her. But at the same time, when I see this, I see victory, but I see kind of like also a battle going, and I don't even know if she's clearly won it. So I can read it in a different way, and that's the best way I can describe it. It's a deck for me that I feel is haunting, and I think that's the only way I can describe it. Haunting energy, and I need to go with the mood that's being depicted in it. So it was quite good. It's quite interesting. That's a gorgeous moon card. The sun and the moon cards in this deck are just amazing. And it makes great focal points at times in a spread. That's the best way to put it. Now that's interesting, that Ten of Swords. So anyway, that was the Hush Tarot, and these are the back of the cards. And again, a mass market deck, and the oracles that I was using with it. Now this is one of them. Now this is a deck, the Kuan Yin Oracle by Alana Fairchild. Now this is a deck that I picked up, I can't remember when, last summer maybe, or even before, I really can't remember. I've had it for a bit, and I just wanted to try decks where I feel that there's an empowerment as a woman. That's the best way I can put it. Female empowering energy. And so I bought this deck, and I think it's absolutely stunning. Gorgeous artwork, and this I used actually next to the Hush Tarot cards, and they came out pretty well. I sometimes also had the card on my altar space, and it was interesting. Did I bond with it so much? Not really. So it's a deck that I question, but the images are just so gorgeous. I mean, these are the backs, right? And yeah, it's just, it's artwork actually that I really, really love. So I'm not sure if it's really tying me into like Bamboo Moon. I don't know what that really would mean for me, and then I have to do the guidebook meaning and so forth. But the or this is Ivory Swan Goddess. But for me, the more important thing is that I personally just fell in love with the images, and I found those very evocative and beautiful in terms of just looking at the art. So I'm not sure how this works for me as an oracle, but in terms of its actual beauty, it's a gorgeous deck. And I find it more gentle rather than empowering, to be quite honest with you, but it's got that feminine soft touch energy, and it was just really nice to have that close to me. Okay, so that was the Kuan Yin Oracle by Alana Fairchild. The next deck that I also used with the Hush Tarot in this challenge was the Lantern Oracle. Now I bought this last summer, and I took a bit of a gamble. I hadn't never seen a walkthrough or anything before I bought it, but I just went for it basically. And it is by, just make sure I get it right, Angelina Mirabito, illustrated by Yuli Alejo, I think that's how we pronounce it. And this is the inside of the box. I mean, just Blue Angel boxes, right? They're just gorgeous. So anyway, these are the images. Now, I find this deck interesting. Personally, I'm not in love with the artwork, to be very honest with you. But I do love the fact that this covers the female energy at many different ages of our lifespan. So, we've got mother, what did I say? Maiden, mother, and then crone, and I can't remember the fourth one. But basically, all the stages that we go through, and I really love that. You know, I do like the diversity in the deck. I sometimes I find the diversity is a little bit too tokenism, to be very frank with you, in various decks, not just this one or something. But I do like that there is diversity in here. That's a gorgeous card. And yeah, and I think that this deck will go very far in its versatility. I think I need to bond with the artwork. I don't know how else to put it. There's something with it where I'm not completely clicking, and I don't know, I'm not sure yet what, to be quite honest with you. But I do enjoy the messages. I do enjoy the guidebook. I think it's been very well done. I think more the artwork and myself, it's something to do with me, sorry, rather than there's something wrong with the deck. There isn't anything wrong with the deck, basically. That's the best way I can put it. So if you're someone that's considering this deck, I think for the price point it's at, I think it's retailing still around the 20-25 euro mark. It's amazing. And I do like the fact that I feel that the images are so diverse, they will go with different tarot decks, which is great. You know, it's like you can make, you know, it's value for money, basically. That's the best way I can put it. So I did like this, and I did like the messages at the bottom. They were a bit more clear for me, like forgiveness, you know, here, renewal. That's a beautiful card. You know, there's a lot of strength in this deck, actually, moving forward. I just find that this is a deck which is very realistic, actually, very strong, very realistic. The images look real, as in like the body shapes, the women, you know, just here, let's see, that one's not very clear, but this one, this transition, I love the fact that it's not always just, you know, young ladies, it's just different ages. That's beautiful. And yeah, and I love that card. Yeah, I love the diversity in this card, actually. I do love that. So yeah, so it's just, yeah, it's a deck that maybe I just need to spend more time with it. I think that's a bit more it. And I think with this deck, the trick that I'm missing, and this is a lesson for me, is that I think this is more just a journaling space, personal space card, rather than putting it with a tarot card for a day. I personally think that this is maybe cards that are for me to reflect upon over the course of a week or a month, because that's the one thing about my practice that I have found. I'm someone that has to sometimes look at messages over a 1 month period, and not always be thinking of like moving on to the next and the next and the next and the next. And this is definitely a deck which I've realized as I'm speaking to you all, that maybe its richness means that I need to just spend time with it over a long period of time with just one card. And that's the best way I can put it. Okay, so then moving swiftly on to the next deck, because I did actually make use of my oracles last month. This was more of an altar card space deck, and that is my Sufi Wisdom Oracle. Now, I bought this last year too, and I love Rasuli's artwork. I mean, I didn't realize how much I loved it until I started using this deck. And so these are the inside. This time we're going very blue here. Yeah, this is artwork by Rasuli, and I just want to say, who is, it's not Nalana Fairchild deck. Hold on a second, hold on. It's not Rasuli himself writing, I don't know. I just need to check that. I think it is actually, sorry, I've got that wrong there. Yeah, it is him, I think, also as the author. I personally love any kind of Sufi writing, also because of my personal background and ethnicity. Where I come from, where my parents come from in India, we are heavily influenced by Persian art and Persian food, and the culture, and especially where my father comes from, which is no longer even in India actually, but it's a part of the world where it's really mixed with when we go towards more the Gulf. So that's why it's really important for me to sometimes have these kind of decks. And I should show you the cards. I fell in love with the artwork. Now, these are messages which, very frankly, if you're someone, they can sound very kind of like, you know, our relationship with a power, a god, that kind of thing. So if that's not for you, this deck may not be for you, just to be very, very frank. I am okay with that, and I personally just, I mean, this is a deck that just went straight to the core of me. And the more I looked at the images, and the more I kind of like, you know, I'd pull a card, the more it just felt like, you know, this deck knows me. It just knows me at a molecular level. And there's something about this artwork, I don't know how else to put it, I keep coming back to the artwork, but it just was like, yeah, it was very visceral. That's the best way I can put it. The connection I had with this, probably also because of the way I've grown up, and you know, my ethnicity. This is where it really tapped into it, because these are images that are not foreign to me in that sense. So it's strange, you know, this is the other part of my world that I come from, basically. That's the best way I can put it. And I just really, this says do not be frustrated, I just really, really love this kind of like, you know, this feeling of just heavenly lightness, energetic movement, you know, really just in the flow with the universe. I don't know how else to put it. I have seen that Rasuli has a new Blue Angel deck out, so I've got my eye on it. I'm like, should I splurge or not? Yeah, like, I still don't have the Rumi deck, you know, because I am someone, I just want to be, oh, but look at this image, but I just really want to be clear that, like, I try not to, when I buy from an author, what I don't do is I don't go, or a creator, sorry, I don't go and buy the whole set all at the same time. I'm kind of like more, I'll try a deck, see if I like it. If I do, then I might buy another one. Because I don't like the idea of buying something from one artist all in one go, and then it doesn't work, and then not all of them work, and then I feel like I've just been wasting money and space, and yeah, it just, I don't like that. So I'm slowly kind of like exploring the Rasuli work, and yeah, I'm so glad I have this deck. It is matte finish. These are the backs, and I mean, it just depends. Like, this is, you know, this says energy of love, and then behold the world through the eyes of love. And some of it is, I know it sounds really, there's no better way to put it. Some of it sounds very, very quiche or very corny at times and all of that, but I somehow can, it just doesn't bug me that much. I don't know why. And then I'm okay with it, you know, and I can just see the cards for what they offer me, and that's the main thing. That's all I care about in that sense. And having this in an altar space area just felt very lovely and just gentle, and I don't know, this is the stuff that works for me. So it's more a personal bond, I guess. I'm not sure if this is a deck I would recommend for everyone, but I really loved it. Okay, so moving swiftly on, I'm watching the time, we're at 23 minutes. So I'm going to show you decks which I think that you're very familiar with, but worth the mention anyway. Oh, one last deck actually, sorry, before I forget. I had a moment where I had seen Racine from Owl Moon 513. Now, what I've noticed is that before I started to expand my collection a few years ago, I did watch different tarot tubers to see where there was decks that I was liking, try those decks, and then if I like them, I do pay attention more to that tarot tuber, just to be quite honest with you, because sometimes it's like, then I'm starting to see, okay, this is reflecting my taste a little bit, and some of the decks that person likes, I also like some, not everything. So anyway, I had already bought this deck, which is the Star Dragons, and I wasn't sure about it, to be quite honest with you. But then Racine recently bought, I think, the Unicorns one from the same author, who is Paolo Barberi. There you can see, I can't pronounce it probably right. Barbieri. And this is a Lo Scarabeo deck. And anyway, I know there's also a cat deck like this. There's a few. Anyway, in these kind of themes and this fantasy theme. But anyway, I'd already bought the Star Dragons last year in the summer. It didn't jive for me. It wasn't my thing. But she had bought the Unicorn one recently and really loved it. So I said to myself, am I missing a trick here? Because I don't like the art that much, to be quite honest with you. And I didn't feel like going and buying now the Unicorn one. I was like, I'm one of those people that I try to use what I have first. So I thought, let me try this one more time. Let's just pull it out. This was in the Purgatory box, to be quite honest with you. So these are the backs. And I began to use this deck. Now, this is what they look like. And I don't mean like use it, but I think I've pulled like twice from it. That's about it, really. So it's not really that much use. Sorry, it's dark. So let me put on the light a bit. Hold on a second. Maybe I need to... We've got... Yeah, the sun is starting to set now. So hold on a second. Let me switch on this one. Okay, that's probably going to be better for you all. So anyway, yeah, much better. So this is the one that I kind of like thought, okay, let me just pull it out. And I began to pay attention to the actual message. So for example, here's number 13. It says challenge. And it says challenge, standing up for your rights. And let me grab the guidebook because the guidebook's pretty small. And yes, it comes in like a million languages. So you're going to get just a sliver. So you're going to get about a paragraph for each of the cards. But let's go for number 13. It says, challenge, standing up for your rights. It says, constellation Hercules, star Coniferous, beta Hercules. Yeah. So if you see in here, where is it? Inside the dragon there, you'll see that there's, can't see it too well on this, with this camera, but there is actually a constellation there. And then what you get is you get wisdom of the herald. It says, time to solve that problem. Conquer your fears and foes. Stand powerful and strong and claim your rights. You are a fierce warrior who is fully equipped to take on insurmountable obstacles. Ball your fist and unsheath your sword. The time has come for action. Slay the dragon. And then it says wisdom of the dragon. Quite interesting, right? Wisdom of the dragon is you will only be stronger through every challenge and obstacle. The bigger they are, the harder they fall. Respect the difficulty of the situation. No matter how difficult the hardship will give you wisdom. Yeah, so no matter how difficult, the hardship will give you wisdom. Are you strong enough to face it? And then the Star Dragon invocation is confront a challenge in your life with daring and bravery. Don't avoid the subject or fall back on the niceties. It's time to confront this head on. Stand up for your rights and face the challenge. And you know, what was really interesting, I say this because I wanted to mention this deck was, I had been at the beginning of the month looking for an empowering deck, female empowerment. I was looking for feminine empowerment. That's a better word for it. And I found it in this basically, and that was interesting. So, you know, I got a bit of a lesson there as well of not really always discounting decks so quickly. And now I'm really glad I have this deck. And I do plan to use it a bit further this spring. You know, this was the card that actually I drew, 18. It says healing, restoring hope. And, you know, as I had a bit of a challenge again last month, sorry, you know, this was just really, really good for me to read. So, and have, you know, just, I put sometimes these cards in spaces where when I wake up, they're kind of like there. And yeah, and that was just really helpful to have as a reminder. So hopefully that has covered several things. Now, just some very quick honorable mentions because I can see that we're creeping up in time. A deck that I'd used last year on my desk. So this is interesting. These are called desk decks. Sounds a bit strange. So I am a working from home person during these times. And so because I'm working from home, I can put cards around my PC and it's fine, you know, that kind of thing. So this is a deck that I was using last year. Yep, we have Keepers of the Light, Oracle cards by Kyle Gray. Now, this is a deck that I bought quite a while ago, you know, when I was coming back to tarot, that kind of thing. And it's a Hay House Mass Market deck. And I decided to pull this deck out again for some reason. And just sometimes have one of these cards at my desk. And I just had this one, which is Green Tara, Supreme Protection, sitting at my desk, you know, for pretty much a good couple of weeks or so. And it was just lovely, you know, it was just really lovely. And I don't sometimes take these messages too heavily. It was just something nice to have there. So I just wanted to mention that I'm someone that really likes to be able to go back to my shelf and pick up something that I've got and reuse it. I don't know how else to put it, but you know, it's really important for me, because also it always curbs that need of like, do I need to go and buy something? Actually, I don't. And you know, I think that I've got a couple of Kyle Gray decks. I've got this, and I've got, you can see it here, I've got his Angels and Ancestors Oracle cards, and I've got a couple of his decks, and they, you know, I don't need to buy them all basically, but these, I think, for me have been great for my collection, and I enjoy reaching out to them every now and then. And the other desk deck that has stayed on my desk, I think now for nearly eternity, is my Tarot of Oppositions. You've heard me talk about this deck a lot. It's a Low Scarabeo deck. It's I've edged mine in black. It is a deck which shows reversals basically. So that's its key thing. I just want to make sure, did I pull out all the cards? Yeah, I did. These are the title cards, sorry. So here we go. So yeah, just quickly show you those. So it's a deck where you have the actual image, but you have then it's more fallen, darker side. Let's put it that way. Some people call it shadow. I call it the fallen side. And yeah, you know, so here we have the Six of Wands. Here he is in victory. He is a little bit too arrogant, basically. So yeah, so inbuilt reversals, basically. And for some reason, I can't tell you why or what or how, but I just like having this deck on my desk. And I don't, it's not necessarily in use or anything. I just like having it sitting there. I have no idea what else to say. Other than, you know, maybe on the odd occasion I might look at a card or two, and I don't know why, but yeah, I really like this deck. So I think what it is because it's a really easy deck to read with. Sometimes I like going and just looking at the cards as kind of like a little bit of a tuning out and just focusing on something else for a second or two. And I think that's where it's really interesting. You know, I might notice something about the image or something that I haven't seen before. So yeah, it's a good deck for me to just have there. There's the Five of Pentacles with a little bit of hope. And there's the Dove. And there. So yeah, so I still like this deck. So, you know, Eight of Swords, freed, still bound. So yeah, so this is a deck that I'm still enjoying, I guess. So it's been, well, it's value for money, I guess. And before I forget, you know, and before I move on, the deck that still I sit with at the evenings right now is my Tarot Z, which I just have a lot of fun with. You know, this is just one for me to flick through every now and then. But I won't go into that too much because it's getting longer and longer. We're at 33 minutes. Thank you for joining me so much. A deck that I still use for my moon readings because I love her. I love her to bits. Is the Tarot of the She. I'm still using her for moon readings. I will be using her this year because I love this deck. It's my, I think it's like a little piece of my soul by now. However, I am looking for a new moon deck, basically. Not because I don't want to use the Tarot of the She. I still want to use her. But I want another deck to use for moon reading specifically. So if you have any thoughts, please let them know in the comments. Always welcome. I have some thoughts of my own, but I always think it's good just to ask. You know, maybe people have suggestions. Maybe they're like, this is the deck, you know. I've heard some people say, you know, this is my moon deck. So, you know, in their videos and stuff. So I'm always looking for like new thoughts, inspiration, that kind of thing. I think I know where I'm going, kind of. But, you know, maybe somebody else has a suggestion. And so, yeah, would love to hear from you. Thank you so much for joining me for this very long January wrap up. This January has been a little bit slightly better space for me than last year, which I'm really grateful for. You know, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I do suffer from seasonal affective disorder. It has been great for a while, but, you know, I think in the last couple of years, it has hit me a little bit. So that's why sometimes it's just been a bit of a challenge, you know, with YouTube and everything. But I just want to say thank you, everybody, for supporting me and being really kind in your comments and so forth. And I will see you again soon. Thank you so much. Take care now. Bye.